Today we're reviewing a crucial new report from the Federal Trade Commission on prescription drug middlemen, also known as pharmacy benefit managers or PBMs. This issue impacts millions of Americans, including those who rely on GLP-1 medications like Mounjaro, Zepbound, Wegovy, and Ozempic.
Welcome back to The Downsize, where we break down the latest in GLP-1 weight loss using medications like Laraine said, Zepbound, Mounjaro, Wegovy, Ozempic, tirzepatide, and semaglutide. I'm Christopher Durham.
And I'm Laraine Durham. We began our GLP-1 weight loss adventure on September 29th, 2023, and have lost a combined 120 plus pounds.
Something like that.
Using Zepbound, Mounjaro, and compounded tirzepatide, we went back and forth.
Yeah.
I stayed on the compounded. Christopher went back and forth and used them all. We want to remind everyone that we are not doctors or medical professionals. While we share our personal experiences and insights on GLP-1 medications and weight loss, we emphasize the importance of consulting with healthcare professionals before starting any new medication or treatment plan.
Last week, the FTC released an interim report revealing how these PBMs are profiting at the expense of patients by inflating drug costs and squeezing independent pharmacies. The inquiry started back in 2022, and this report highlights some alarming issues. The PBMs play a significant role in the accessibility and affordability of prescription drugs. The Commission's interim report stems from special orders the FTC issued in 2022 under Section 6B of the FTC Act to the six largest PBMs, Caremark RX, Express Scripts, Optum RX, Humana Pharmacy Solutions, Prime Therapeutics, and MedImpact Healthcare Systems. In 2023, the FTC issued similar additional orders in Zinc Health Services, Ascent Health Services, and MSR Pharma Services, LLC.
The report shows the six largest PBMs manage nearly 95% of all prescriptions in the United States. This concentration of power has led to higher drug prices and limited access to essential medications for many patients. This is a significant concern, especially for those of us taking GLP-1 medications, which are already expensive.
FTC Chair Lena Khan stated the FTC's interim report lays out how dominant pharmacy benefit managers can hike the costs of drugs, including overcharging patients for cancer drugs. The report also details how PBMs can squeeze independent pharmacies that many Americans, especially those in rural communities, depend on for essential care.
Here are some key findings from the report.
First, the market is highly concentrated and vertically integrated. The top three PBMs process nearly 80% of 6.6 billion prescriptions dispensed by U.S. pharmacies in 2023. They are also integrated with major health insurers and retail pharmacies. So let's follow that. They own the insurer, they own your drugstore, and they're the middleman who negotiate the price of the drugs.
Is that legal?
That's what the FTC is asking. That's exactly what they're asking. Sounds like something for
like
sure.
That, yeah.
As we said, they're integrated with all the health insurers, the retail pharmacies, and it gives them significant control over the entire pharmaceutical supply chain. This kind of concentration can lead to a lack of competition, a monopoly perhaps, ultimately hurting patients. PBMs are part of complex, vertically integrated healthcare conglomerates, and the PBM industry is highly concentrated. We just can't say it enough. This chart shows that this concentration and integration gives them significant power over the pharmaceutical supply chain. The percentages reflect the amount of prescriptions filled in the U.S.
Second, this consolidation gives PBMs substantial power over drug availability and pricing. Nearly 30% of Americans surveyed reporting having to ration or skip doses of their prescribed medicines due to high costs. This is particularly concerning for people with chronic conditions who depend on regular medication to manage their health.
Almost like the disease of obesity. Third, these vertically integrated PBMs have the incentive to prefer their own affiliated businesses. This self-preferencing can disadvantage unaffiliated pharmacies and increase drug costs. The report notes that pharmacies affiliated with the three largest PBMs retain nearly $1.6 billion in excess revenue from just two cancer drugs in under 3 years. This kind of self-preferencing is detrimental to smaller independent pharmacies that play a critical role in their small communities.
Fourth, PBMs leverage their market power to impose unfair, arbitrary, and harmful contractual terms on independent pharmacies. These terms often obscure the total payment amounts, making it difficult for the pharmacists to determine their compensation. This lack of transparency hurts small businesses and can lead to the closure of independent pharmacies, reducing access to medications for patients in those areas.
Lastly, PBMs and brand drug manufacturers sometimes negotiate rebates that limit access to the lower-cost generic and biosimilar competitors. These agreements can exclude lower-cost drugs from PBM formularies in exchange for increased manufacturer rebates. This practice limits patients' access to more affordable medication options, forcing them to pay higher prices for brand-name drugs.
It's important to note that several PBMs have not been timely or forthcoming in their responses to the FTC's inquiries, hindering the Commission's ability to perform its statutory mission. This lack of cooperation from PBMs further complicates efforts to regulate and bring transparency to the industry.
It's also important to note that if we had a PBM president sit down here, they would have an entire spiel and tell us all about how they were negotiating for lower costs. And there was a lot of things going on there. If you guys would like to come on, let us know. We'll have you on. We'd love to have a conversation about it.
$1,200 a month from Mounjaro doesn't seem
I
like
can tell you
negotiated.
The sheer complexity of the American system and the PBMs and all the layers of things seem to be adding a lot of cost, and we'd love to understand that better. This isn't the first time we've seen issues like this. Our previous segments covered how Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk have been overcharging for GLP-1 medications and are also being investigated by the Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions Committee, or HELP Committee, chaired by Senator Bernie Sanders. It's clear that there's a need for transparency across the entire supply chain. These medications are vital for those of us on weight loss journeys, and high costs can be a significant barrier to accessing treatment.
We're calling for complete transparency in the pharmaceutical supply chain. Patients deserve to know how prices are set and why they pay so much for their medication. Transparency is crucial for holding these companies accountable and ensuring fair pricing for consumers.
The FTC remains committed to scrutinizing dominant players across healthcare markets to ensure Americans can access affordable healthcare. As Khan emphasized, the FTC will continue to use all our tools and authorities to scrutinize dominant players across these markets and ensure that Americans can access affordable healthcare.
Let's break this down a bit more. What exactly do PBMs do? PBMs are middlemen in the pharmaceutical supply chain. They negotiate with drug manufacturers and pharmacies to determine which drugs are covered by insurance and at what cost. Ideally, PBMs should help lower prices by negotiating discounts and rebates. However, the FTC report suggests that PBMs may be doing the opposite, driving up costs to increase their profits.
PBMs have significant influence over which drugs are included in insurance plans, what they call formularies, which essentially determines which medications patients can access and at what cost. This power allows them to negotiate substantial rebates from drug manufacturers. However, these savings are not always passed on to consumers. Instead, PBMs often keep a portion of these rebates, leading to higher drug prices for patients.
This rebate system creates a conflict of interest. PBMs may prioritize drugs that offer higher rebates, regardless of whether they are the most cost-effective or beneficial for patients. This self-serving behavior can result in patients paying more out of pocket for their medications.
Independent pharmacies are also feeling the squeeze. PBMs use their market power to impose unfair contract terms, such as clawbacks, where pharmacies are required to pay back a portion of the reimbursement received for dispensing a drug. These practices can make it financially unsustainable for independent pharmacies to operate, leading to closures and reducing access to medications, especially in rural areas.
This brings us back to our call for transparency. Without transparency, patients and independent pharmacies are left in the dark about how drug prices are determined and why costs are so high. Transparent pricing can help ensure that the benefits of negotiated discounts and rebates are passed on to consumers.
In our past episodes, we highlighted how companies like Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk have been criticized for their high prices on GLP-1 medications. These drugs are essential for managing conditions like diabetes and, of course, aiding in the treatment of the disease of obesity. But their high costs can be prohibitive for many patients. The practices of PBMs are contributing to these high prices, making it even more difficult for people to afford their medications.
As consumers, we need to advocate for more transparency and accountability in the pharmaceutical industry. We need to support policies that promote fair competition, prevent self-preferencing, and ensure that rebates and discounts benefit patients, not just PBMs.
The FTC's ongoing investigation is a step in the right direction. By shining a light on the practices of PBMs, the FTC is working to hold these companies accountable and protect consumers. But there's still a long way to go. We need comprehensive reforms to ensure that the pharmaceutical supply chain is transparent and fair.
We'll keep you updated as more information becomes available. Until then, remember to consult with your healthcare provider before making any changes to your medication or treatment plans. Your health and well-being are our top priority, and it's important to make informed decisions about your care.
What do you think of all this?
I think somebody's making a whole lot of money off these medications while we're paying a lot for them.
It's interesting. I absolutely want American companies to be profitable, but there's a significant difference between being profitable and being predatory.
So, can we just run through the chain of command of the pricing?
Yeah.
So, here's Eli Lilly.
Or Novo Nordisk or Pfizer or whoever.
Here's Eli Lilly. And they make Zepbound.
Correct.
Okay. And Eli Lilly says, I think Zepbound's cost to consumers should be $1,000 a month. And then the pharmacy benefit managers are sitting at their desk and they're saying, oh, you have a new drug, Eli Lilly, called Zepbound. Well, I'm not going to include it in my formulary because you're too expensive.
Correct.
Or, hey, Eli Lilly, why don't you give me a rebate, and I'll put it in my formulary so that every time somebody buys it at CVS, then Eli Lilly gives the PBMs a rebate?
Correct.
So they're getting a kickback for putting it on their formulary.
Correct. And what Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk have both said is PBMs are contributing to this cost. So Eli Lilly makes this, and if you believe Bernie's committee, it costs about $5. Now, there's a whole other set of associated costs from research and all that stuff that goes into it. So there's, and we want Eli Lilly to make money, for sure.
I'm just trying to follow the chain of how the price gets jacked up so high.
Well, I think that's the problem, is nobody really knows the number.
Is Eli Lilly setting the price high, then the PBMs make it higher?
I think what happens is all the drug companies have to arbitrarily set the price high because they know they're going to get negotiated down and have to pay a kickback, whatever you'd like to call it, to the PBMs.
So if I'm Eli Lilly and I set the price at $1,000 a month and the PBMs say, okay, but for every box is sold, Eli Lilly has to give back to the PBMs $500.
Maybe $600, $800. We don't know what the numbers are. That's the transparency problem.
And then
when it gets to
CVS,
they want to make some money too.
So say it's $1,000, and then Eli Lilly's paying the PBMs half of that. Then CVS gets it, and it's $1,000, and they have to make money, so they mark it up to $1,200.
We don't really know what the markups are. But yeah, that's what's happening. And because these PBMs are so integrated, the PBM is owned. So CVS is the best example. They own Caremark, they own CVS. So they're making money at each step of the way.
So I'm on a GLP-1 medication, and I go to CVS, and I say, here's my prescriptions at the pharmacy, fill it, and the pharmacist says, we have to get a prior authorization from your doctor.
Right.
Okay. So the doctor says, yeah, I really did want her to have this, and yeah, it's really okay. So the pharmacist says, okay, now we're going to run it through your insurance. So the pharmacy runs it through my insurance, and my insurance either says, yes, it's covered, no, it's not covered.
Correct.
And if it says, yes, it's covered, it's because a pharmacy benefit manager has included it in my drug plan formulary.
And what this is saying is that they may actually preference drugs that they get better rebates on. So they may say...
The PBMs?
The PBMs may say, I don't want to cover Zepbound because Eli Lilly's only giving me $100. Yep, Wegovy, because Novo Nordisk is giving me $200.
More money back. How do the PBMs convince the manufacturers to give them...
Because they hold the keys
because
to the door.
They can say, I'm going to let you in my formulary or not.
Correct.
And if you don't give me a payback, I'm not going to put you in my formulary.
Yep.
That's crazy.
It's just, maybe one day we'll do the bigger historic kind of healthcare story, but it goes back to 80s deregulation, and there's all kinds of things going on there.
But I always thought Okay, so I have my insurance, and I've got a list of medications that are included on my insurance. I didn't know there was a whole another set of people controlling the prices. I thought really the prices were controlled by the manufacturer and the retail
And in some
establishment.
countries, that's the way it is.
So there's
I
another
think.
guy in the middle taking another cut when
Correct.
we're paying them for insurance in the first place. So they want our money for our
Right,
insurance
so in my head,
benefit.
and for you Gen Xers out there, in my head, PBMs are like the Lloyd Dobler from Say Anything. I don't want to make anything, build, manufacture anything. Remember Lloyd?
with the
Right?
boombox.
Lloyd didn't do anything, but he wanted to
Yeah.
have a living. Then he wanted
Right.
to be a kickboxer. PBMs or Lloyd? I don't know.
So they're not manufacturing anything or selling anything. They're just managing what the manufacturer, how the manufacturer can sell
They're
at
the
retail.
gatekeeper. They control whether it gets onto the formulary and yeah. Basically, what the FTC is saying, hey, we have to get transparency on this. We need to understand where all this cost is coming from because the American healthcare and Americans specifically are hurting, and there's anti-competitive things here. There's potential monopolistic things here. So there's a lot going on. What's going to happen? I don't know. But the FTC is going to take a swing at
The
them.
FTC wants to know the cost that Eli Lilly says it costs.
They want to know all the
the
costs.
amount that the PBMs are getting back from Eli Lilly, the amount that the stores are selling it for, which
Yeah.
I guess is pretty common knowledge. And then what else do we need to know in this
The
transparency?
problem is sometimes we don't even know all the steps.
yeah.
There's so many pieces in there. So there's probably a distributor in there. There's all kinds of things in there, right?
Because the pharmacists have told me, oh, our distributor can't get this particular Mounjaro right now.
Right.
And then you go down the street to the local independent pharmacy and they say, oh, yeah, our distributor, I can order,
So
I can order
that's
that and
another
it'll be here
step in the
tomorrow.
chain. Basically, the FTC is saying, let's map everything out. Let's understand who's making what and where they're making what. Yeah, and everybody wants American companies to be profitable for sure. We just don't want American consumers to be taken advantage of. And we certainly don't want American consumers to have to pay the price for all of the development foreign customers, Australia, UK, Canada, Germany, wherever are paying a significantly less amount. This is certainly a big story and we'll continue to cover it. So that's our segment for today. I'm Christopher Durham. Thanks for tuning into The Downsize. Stay informed, stay healthy, and we'll see you next time.
And I'm Laraine Durham. Don't forget to check out our website, thedownsize.org, for more information and resources, and visit our GLP-1 companion product store, which is on the website, for products that can support your weight loss journey.
Join us every Thursday at 7 p.m. at Eastern Standard Time or Eastern Daylight Time right now for the latest updates and insights. Thanks for watching.
See you
See you
next
next time.
time.